In the vibrant city of Vancouver, Washington, there lived a young woman whose spirit shone brighter than any star. Her name was Nikki Kuhnhausen, and at just 17 years old, she was a force of nature. Nikki was fierce and fearless, a description her loving mother, Lisa Woods, often used. She carried herself with a confidence that turned heads and a warmth that drew people in. Nikki was a creative soul, a true artist in her own right. She dreamed big, envisioning a future where she would be a makeup artist for the one and only Nicki Minaj, or perhaps grace the world's most famous runways as a contestant on America's Next Top Model. Her aspirations were as bold and beautiful as she was. Nikki's personality was a kaleidoscope of joy and determination. She loved to dance, to express herself through movement, and to connect with the world through social media. She saw the internet not just as a place for fun, but as a platform to build her future and share her unique light with a global audience. She had a magnetic presence, a way of making everyone feel seen and special. This was her gift. She was the kind of person who could walk into a room and instantly make it a more interesting, more colorful place. Her laughter was infectious, and her belief in herself was an inspiration to those lucky enough to know her. She was more than just a dreamer. She was a doer. Nikki put her heart into everything she did, whether it was perfecting a new makeup look or simply being a supportive friend. Her friends and family remember her as someone who was deeply caring, always ready to listen or offer a shoulder to lean on. She was a beacon of positivity, even when the world around her presented challenges. Nikki's story is not just about how she died, but about how she lived, with an open heart, an unbreakable will, and a deep-seated belief in the power of being true to oneself. She was a daughter, a friend, and a bright light that was extinguished far too soon. We must remember Nikki for the incredible person she was. Her spirit was defined by courage and an unwavering commitment to her identity. She navigated a world that was not always kind with a grace and strength that was truly remarkable. Her dreams were not just fantasies, they were the blueprints for a life she was actively building, a life filled with promise and potential. In celebrating Nikki, we celebrate the power of authenticity and the beautiful, bold spirit of a young woman who deserved the world. Her memory reminds us that every life is precious and that every dream deserves the chance to be realized. In the heart of a bustling community, Nikki Kuhnhausen's story unfolded in ways that touched countless lives. Nikki's journey was marked by moments of both triumph and challenge. She navigated the complexities of identity with a courage that inspired those around her. Her creativity was a force. She transformed everyday moments into opportunities for self-expression, using makeup and fashion as her canvas. Nikki's style was ever-evolving, reflecting her inner world and her desire to be seen for who she truly was. She was known for her bold choices, never shying away from standing out in a crowd. Nikki's laughter echoed through hallways and parks, a reminder of her ability to find light even in difficult times. She found solace in music and dance, often sharing spontaneous performances with friends and followers. Through social media, Nikki built a community, offering support, advice, and encouragement to others navigating their own journeys. Her friends recall late-night conversations where Nikki's empathy and humor helped them through their own struggles. She had a gift for bringing people together, creating spaces where everyone felt welcome and accepted. Nikki's presence was magnetic, her smile, her energy, her unwavering belief in the power of kindness. She volunteered at local events, using her voice to advocate for acceptance and understanding. Whether helping a friend through a tough day or perfecting a new look, Nikki approached life with passion and care. Her compassion extended beyond her circle. She was known for standing up for those who felt voiceless. Even when faced with misunderstanding or prejudice, Nikki responded with resilience and hope. She journaled about her experiences, turning pain into purpose and inspiring others to do the same. Those who knew her remember not just her vibrant spirit, but the quiet strength she showed in moments of vulnerability. In the wake of her loss, the community came together, united in grief, but also in a renewed commitment to justice and acceptance. Nikki's story has become a rallying point, inspiring advocacy and change for transgender rights. Her legacy is one of courage, reminding us all to walk boldly even when the path is uncertain. Nikki's vision for a more inclusive world lives on in the actions of those she inspired. As we honor her memory, we are reminded of the importance of embracing every person's truth. Nikki's light endures, a call to compassion, action, and the celebration of every unique journey. Nikki's journey of self-discovery began in middle school, a time that is already filled with so much change and uncertainty for any young person. It was during these formative years that she found the courage to come out as a transgender girl. This was not an easy path, but Nikki walked it with her head held high. She embraced her identity with a fierce and unapologetic joy that was truly inspiring. She knew who she was, and she was determined to live her truth, no matter what obstacles stood in her way. Her decision to live openly was an act of bravery, a testament to her incredible inner strength and her profound sense of self. Unfortunately, living authentically often meant facing a world that could be cruel and unwelcoming. Nikki experienced bullying from peers who could not understand or accept her identity. These were painful experiences, designed to make her feel small and to dim her brilliant light. But Nikki refused to be diminished. Instead of hiding, she shone even brighter. She met ignorance with confidence, and she met prejudice with pride. She continued to express herself through her love of fashion, makeup, and dance, using her creativity as a shield and a statement. Her resilience was a powerful act of defiance against the negativity she faced. Her mother, Lisa, was her staunchest ally, a pillar of unwavering love and support. Lisa saw her daughter not just for her courage, but for the beautiful, complete person she was. This foundation of acceptance at home gave Nikki the strength to be herself out in the world. She built a community of friends who loved and celebrated her for exactly who she was. In this circle of support, she found a safe space to be a teenager, to laugh, to dream, and to navigate the ups and downs of life. She was a vibrant part of her community, known for her loyalty and her big heart. Nikki's story is a powerful reminder that acceptance begins at home and radiates outward. Her bravery in the face of adversity was extraordinary, but it is a bravery no child should have to possess just to exist. She should have been free to explore her passions and build her future without fear. Her life was a testament to the importance of living one's truth, and she did so with a style and grace that left a lasting impression on everyone she met. She was not just surviving, she was thriving, creating a life that was authentically and beautifully her own, and in doing so, she became a role model for countless others. The evening of June 5, 2019, began like many others for a teenager in the digital age. Nikki was connecting with people online, building friendships through apps like Snapchat. It was on this platform that she began talking to a 25-year-old man named David Bogdanov. To Nikki, he likely seemed like a potential new friend or an interesting person to meet. Trusting and open-hearted, she agreed to meet up with him. She left her home, full of the casual optimism of youth, with no reason to believe that this encounter would be any different from countless others. She stepped into his car, ready for a simple, friendly meeting. The conversation between Nikki and David took a fateful turn inside that car. At some point during their meeting, Nikki did what she always did. She lived her truth. She disclosed to David that she was a transgender woman. For Nikki, this was a simple fact of her identity, a part of who she was. She shared this information with the same honesty and openness that defined her entire life. She had no way of knowing that this moment of vulnerability, this act of being her authentic self, would place her in unimaginable danger. She was simply being Nikki, a person who believed in the good in others. As the hours stretched into the night and the early morning of June 6th, Nikki did not return home. The silence that followed was deafening for her mother, Lisa Woods. A mother's intuition is a powerful force, and Lisa's was screaming that something was terribly wrong. Nikki was responsible and always kept in touch. Her phone going unanswered and her failure to walk through the front door was completely out of character. The initial worry soon spiraled into a deep, gnawing fear. The vibrant, ever-present light of her daughter's presence had suddenly and inexplicably gone dark, and a terrifying mystery had begun. Lisa's world was shattered. The place where her daughter's laughter and energy once filled the air was now filled with a heavy, anxious silence. The agonizing wait for a text, a call, or the sound of the key in the door stretched on. Every passing minute felt like an eternity. The hope that Nikki would just walk in, safe and sound, began to clash with the horrifying possibility that she was in trouble. For Lisa, this was the beginning of a nightmare, a desperate search for answers, and a fight for a daughter who had vanished into the night after placing her trust in a stranger. Immediately after Nikki's disappearance, her family did what any family would do. They turned to the police for help. They filed a missing persons report, their hearts heavy with fear and their minds racing with worst-case scenarios. They hoped for a swift and urgent response, for a dedicated search effort to bring their beloved Nikki home safely. However, what they received instead was a slow and dismissive reaction from the authorities. Officials initially categorized Nikki as a possible runaway. This label is a common and deeply harmful misclassification for missing transgender and queer youth, one that often dismisses the immediate danger they may be in and delays critical investigative action. This systemic failure meant that precious time was lost in the crucial early days of the search. While Nikki's family was living every parent's worst nightmare, the official investigation lacked the urgency her case demanded. For 6 long months, the case languished with little to no progress, but Lisa Woods refused to let her daughter be forgotten or dismissed. She transformed her grief and fear into relentless action. She became a fierce advocate, a warrior fighting to keep her daughter's name and face in the public eye. She knew that if the system would not fight for Nikki, she would have to force it to. Lisa's fight was tireless and public. She organized vigils, bringing the community together to pray for Nikki's safe return and to demand action from law enforcement. She printed and distributed countless flyers, plastering Nikki's bright, smiling face all over town. She spoke to every news outlet that would listen, sharing her daughter's story and pleading for any information that could help find her. Lisa's voice became a powerful force, refusing to be silenced. She ensured that Nikki was not just another statistic, but a cherished human being whose life mattered and whose absence left a gaping hole in their community. While the official response was slow, the community rallied around Lisa and her family. Friends, neighbors, and even strangers joined the search efforts, showing a groundswell of support that stood in stark contrast to the initial institutional indifference. This community resolve was a testament to the love that surrounded Nikki. It demonstrated that while systems may fail, the power of people coming together can create a current of change and hope. Lisa Wood's advocacy, born from a mother's unending love, kept the case alive, ensuring that the world would not and could not look away from the search for Nikki Kuhnhausen. For 6 agonizing months, Nikki's family and community held on to a fragile thread of hope. They prayed for a miracle, for Nikki to walk back into their lives, safe and sound. But in December 2019, that hope was tragically extinguished. A person hiking on the remote forested slopes of Larch Mountain, a desolate area far from the city, made a grim discovery. Partially hidden by dirt and brush were human skeletal remains. The lonely, quiet mountain held a dark secret, and the search for Nikki Kuhnhausen had reached a devastating and heartbreaking conclusion. The worst fears of her loved ones were about to be confirmed in the most painful way imaginable. Investigators arrived at the secluded scene, which told a silent, horrific story. Alongside the remains, they found several personal items that would soon be identified as belonging to Nikki. There was a phone charging cord, which forensic experts would later determine was the weapon used to end her life. They also found her hair extensions, rings she loved to wear, and the very jacket she had on the night she disappeared. Each object was a painful clue, a fragment of Nikki's final moments. The evidence collected from that cold mountainside would be crucial in piecing together the truth of what had happened to her. The confirmation came through dental records, leaving no room for doubt. The remains found on Larch Mountain were those of Nikki Kuhnhausen. The official cause of death was determined to be strangulation, a violent and intimate act of brutality. The news shattered her family and sent waves of grief and outrage through the community that had fought so hard for her. The question of where is Nikki was tragically answered. Now a new, urgent question took its place. Who did this to her? The focus of the investigation immediately shifted from a missing person case to a homicide. The police quickly zeroed in on David Bogdanov, the last person known to have seen Nikki alive. Cell phone tower data was a critical piece of the puzzle. It placed Bogdanov's phone in the vicinity of Larch Mountain on the very night Nikki vanished, directly contradicting the alibi he had provided to investigators. Faced with this undeniable evidence, his story began to crumble. Bogdanov was arrested, and during questioning, he confessed to killing Nikki. He claimed he had acted in a fit of panic and rage after she revealed she was transgender, a moment of hateful violence that stole a bright, promising future. The arrest of David Bogdanov led to a highly anticipated trial where the fight for justice for Nikki moved into the courtroom. He was charged with second-degree murder and malicious harassment, which is Washington state's hate crime statute. From the beginning, the case was not just about proving that Bogdanov had killed Nikki, but about exposing the hateful motive behind his violent actions. The prosecution team prepared to argue that this was not a random act of violence, but a crime fueled by prejudice and bigotry, a direct result of Nikki bravely living her truth as a transgender woman. Bogdanov's legal team employed a deeply controversial and harmful legal strategy known as the trans-panic defense. This defense attempts to excuse or lessen the severity of a violent crime by claiming the perpetrator acted in a state of temporary insanity, shock, or panic upon discovering the victim's gender identity. His lawyers argued that Bogdanov's violent outburst was a provoked reaction to learning Nikki was transgender, portraying him as a victim of shock and violation. He also tried to claim self-defense, alleging that Nikki had reached for a gun he had in his car, a story that shifted and changed throughout the investigation. Prosecutors powerfully dismantled this defense, painting a clear picture of what truly happened. They argued that Bogdanov's actions were not born of panic, but of hate. They suggested he was more concerned with his own reputation and the perceived shame of being with a transgender woman than he was with Nikki's humanity. They presented evidence of his lies and inconsistent stories, showing a pattern of deception designed to cover up a calculated, hate-fueled murder. The courtroom became a battleground over not just one man's guilt, but the validity of a defense that blames victims for the violence inflicted upon them. In September 2021, after hearing all the evidence and arguments, the jury delivered its verdict. They found David Bogdanov guilty on both counts, second-degree murder and malicious harassment. The verdict was a resounding rejection of the trans-panic defense and a powerful affirmation that Nikki's life mattered. It was a moment of profound relief and validation for her family and for the entire LGBTQ+ community. Bogdanov was later sentenced to nearly 20 years in prison. While no sentence could ever bring Nikki back or erase the pain of her loss, the conviction was a crucial step towards accountability and a clear statement that hate will not be excused by the law. Nikki Kuhnhausen's tragic death sent shockwaves far beyond her community in Washington. Her story became a catalyst for change, sparking a powerful movement to protect transgender people and to dismantle the hateful legal loopholes that had been used to justify violence against them for far too long. Activists, lawmakers, and Nikki's own family channeled their grief into a powerful force for legislative reform. They were determined that Nikki's legacy would not be one of victimhood, but one of progress and protection for others. Her life and death had to mean something more. They had to lead to a safer world for all. This powerful advocacy led to a landmark victory in 2020. Washington state passed a new law officially known as the Nikki Kuhnhausen Act, or more simply, Nikki's Law. This groundbreaking legislation explicitly bans the use of the so-called gay and trans panic defense in court. This means that a defendant can no longer argue that their violent actions should be excused or mitigated because they were shocked or angered by a victim's sexual orientation or gender identity. Washington became the 10th state to enact such a ban, sending a clear message that a person's identity is never a justification for violence. Nikki's Law went even further to address the systemic failures that plagued the initial investigation into her disappearance. The law mandates LGBTQ+ cultural competency and sensitivity training for law enforcement officers across the state. This training is designed to ensure that future cases involving transgender and queer individuals are handled with the respect, urgency, and understanding they deserve. It aims to prevent the dismissive labeling of missing youth as runaways, and to foster better relationships between police and the LGBTQ+ community, hopefully ensuring that what happened to Nikki's family never happens to another. Nikki's story is a heartbreaking chapter in the broader narrative of violence against transgender people, particularly transgender women of color, who face disproportionately high rates of violence. Her case brought national attention to this epidemic of hate. Her mother, Lisa Woods, has become a prominent and inspiring advocate, traveling to speak at schools and to law enforcement agencies about the critical importance of protecting and affirming trans youth. Nikki Kuhnhausen's spirit lives on not only in the law named after her, but in the ongoing fight for a world where every person can live safely, openly, and with pride, just as she did.